Hey gang, Amrasil here. As you can see, I am playing the Tier 9 German cruiser Roon. Matchmaking is actually pretty good. There are a fair number of Tier 9 ships, but there's also a mix of Tier 8 and Tier 7 ships in this game. Now, if you're not familiar with the German cruiser line, their AP is known for being pretty nasty. It's very hard hitting. It's got great armor penetration. It's really effective, but at least in my experience and opinion, you have to be somewhat discerning about when you use it, because in a lot of cases, again, my opinion, you're better off, especially at range, using HE. Although it's arguable, I guess, I find that I have a lot more success with the German cruiser line in general, and certainly I have with this ship, although I haven't had what I would call great success with this ship overall, that the HE is more effective long term as you start fires and keep, in particular, keep battleships burning. Because I did not want to push up and get blapped, I just sat here for a minute. I wanted to see how the rest of the team was going to position before I committed to anything. So often what ends up happening is battleships in particular, but cruisers too, will sit behind these islands that you're kind of looking at there. And in some cases they'll be positioned where they can't even put guns on anything. And I didn't want to follow everybody else up there and find myself stuck. So, since it looked to me like that's probably what they were doing, I've opted to just stay center, take advantage of the really nice range on the Roon, and just lob shells from a long distance. Now you can see I've got AP loaded. I was kind of hoping that I might catch a cruiser broadside, but first opportunity was on Hollande. Yes, I knew that the island was going to catch some of those shells, but threw them out there anyway. And you can see I've switched to HE. Now New Orleans, if I can catch him broadside, even at range, I can hurt him with AP, but something tells me he's just going to park behind that island and stay there, at least for the short term. Now Armahan, he ended up having a great game, by the way. Armahan is doing his best to secure that cap, but you can see that there's somebody else in there with him because we're not doing anything to get it, and he's got Prinz Eugen pushing up on one side. And whatever that, yeah, there it is, the Moss. Now our Akazuki, in the meanwhile, has pushed up really close to the Ola. And unfortunately, he's made himself a target to the Hollande, the Buffalo, Vostok, and you can see that he's just getting obliterated. Why he did that? There's probably a really simple explanation, and you can probably guess what I would say if I weren't trying to be polite. But regardless, Akazuki is gone. We're a little less than 4 minutes into the game, and he's been sunk. And that leaves us without a DD at the Charlie cap, and our Mahan was kind of forced off of the Bravo cap. Now you'll see here I'm going to ask the Mahan if he can try and spot. I did it as politely as I could, as irritated as I was about Akazuki. Yeah, so we lost the Bravo cap, and it looks like we're going to lose the Charlie cap. And I can't blame Mahan. He lost a lot of hit points in there contesting that cap, and he's going to respond to it, actually in a very polite way, and just kind of point that out. Now you can see I'm running south. Well, why am I running south? Because I can see Gneisenau, I can see Nagato, I can see Colorado, I can see Ibuki, I can see Vladivostok, and there's the King George. And I'm probably in range of a lot of those big shells, and I'm out here by myself. And Maz is probably the one that's getting me spotted right now. And Akazuki makes a comment about, that I should just run for the corner since I'm running so far south. But the reason I was running so far south is that, I'm not hiding behind an island. I'm in open water, and as soon as all these guys realize that, and there's my obviously quite polite response to the Akazuki's contention that I was just running and not doing anything. And there's the response from the Mahan. But sitting at max range against these battleships allows more opportunity to dodge their shells. I mean, I can see when they fire, and I can angle up and try and avoid getting smacked around. Now our Mahan, much to his credit, he's back. He's going to be trying to throw torpedoes in their face. If you're not a DD player, what he's doing right now, that's the smartest thing to do. Get ahead of the push of the battleships in the enemy team and put torpedoes right in their face. Not always permit, but when it does, make the most of it. Now I've got two battleships, or maybe a battleship and the New Orleans, targeting me. I need to change my angle here because New Orleans has really hard hitting AP, and if he's going to make use of that AP on my broadside, I won't last long. So I've got to try and time my turn here between the reloads on these two battleships. Okay, there's a fire, and that's probably going to stick for a little while. So yes, I took a little damage here, but you can see that between the Mahan and myself, we're dissuading Colorado and Nagato from continuing their really what amounted to a pincer movement. And I'm just working to keep fires going. I'm sure Colorado's dead. He ate a lot of torpedoes. I'm sure he had to repair there, and I've got him burning. So now it's time to switch to Nagato and just focus on the Nagato. Trying to do the same thing to him. Down it goes. So you can see that from long range, the HE on this ship is actually really, really good. You can start a lot of fires. I mean, I've only started 4 fires, but we're only 8 minutes into the game. Each side has lost 3 ships. The bad guys have a cap advantage, and they're up considerably. They've got about 120 or so, 130 point lead. But this is far from over. Now they've completely wiped out the ships that we had on the 9 and 10 line there. And try and get some AP in on this guy. And that's the power of the AP. Even at 14 kilometers out, if somebody shows you broadside. And back to HE. As New Orleans does not want anything to do with that AP. And you can see Mahan has positioned himself to slow down their push. And I'll just go to work on anything I can reach in range here. Gneisenau is a little out of range, but I do have a spotter plane. But I think I'm going to focus on some things that are a little closer. Now he's probably going to turn to his starboard and go between that little gap. So I'm going to try and get shells out there. At that range, I don't know that I could time it right, but I'm going to try. Close, but no cigar. Now Ibuki's almost dead. I'm going to try and finish him off. And in fact, you can see there he says, "Some Bori kill me." Well, I'm happy to oblige. Might take me a couple volleys. And I'm not the only one trying. That looks better.
Wir haben einen gegnerischen Kreuzer versenkt.
So, should I push center, try and get into the cap? No. Now, I think what I want to do is I want to try and create some angles. I want to either be able to punish broadsides or force red ships to turn to avoid giving me broadside, and then give broadside to all those ships that you see on my team that are on the 4 line right now and the 5 line. So I'm going to swing outside. Our Richelieu goes down, and the enemy team still has a lead. I'm just trying to avoid being spotted as long as possible while I reposition here. So we're 11 minutes in. I've got 59,000 damage. I finished off 3 ships. I didn't do a whole heck of a lot other than finish off ships, but you know, that takes them out of the game. Even if they only had 1 volley left, they could have sunk one of our guys. So you know, every chance you get, try and finish somebody off if you can. Now I can see Vladivostok's got his guns somewhere else. I know I've got Hollande out here, so I'm going to have to be careful for torpedoes, but my hydro is going to be back up here in 8 seconds. And I'm just going to try and get that Vladivostok burning. And that's 3 fires. And there's the Hollande, and his torpedoes are probably on the way. So I'll need to change my heading here. And back to Vladivostok. And that fire is going to burn for a little bit because you saw that he repaired the first fire that I put on him. I'm talking about the Hollande. And see if I can't get the KGB burning. We're still down on points, but we have secured a second cap now, so we now have the cap advantage. We also have a ship advantage. Down goes Hollande. Our ship advantage just keeps getting better and better. And at this point, this is looking like a pretty sure thing. There are the torpedoes. As expected. I did not know that the Moss was going to come over here. I figured he'd get ahead of our big push on the other side, but that's fine. Slow down here. I don't want to push into a situation where I'm having to give somebody a broadside. Moss, that particular destroyer line has decent AP, so I don't want to give him the opportunity to get my broadside either. So I'll just stop here. I knew he threw his torps out not too long ago, so I've got a little bit of time here to work. And he's the only DD left, and I know more or less where he's at now. So as long as I stay angled reasonably well, I should be able to avoid his torpedoes, even if they come back up before he gets spotted again. Yeah, there he is. You can see he's positioning to be able to get torpedoes on me. I'm just going to keep working my way slightly to my port side. Got a flat broadside on Vladivostok, see if I can't get the AP to do some damage here. I'm going to try and just kind of angle myself to port a little bit to make use of the island to prevent myself from eating torpedoes.
Gegnerisches Schlachtschiff zerstört.
Unser Sieg ist in Sicht.
Buffalo's angled up pretty well. So I'm switching back to HE. Get behind the island a little bit more here. And you can see his torpedoes are just going to pass to the side there. And Buffalo's gone. And now it's just the Moss that's left. I managed to secure a Kraken. That's pretty exciting, and I might get my 6th kill here. As you can see, this is a pretty fun ship to play, but it, in my opinion, does best when you're working at range. You've got protection against torpedoes in the form of the Hydro, so this line's fun. If you haven't played it, I really recommend it. I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to the Hindenburg. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.
Gegnerischer Zerstörer versenkt.